So I guess you could describe what I do as helping elephants do ballet. So I work with large companies and I help them think a little bit about the future and how they're going to manage the future, which is kind of hard to do because they have this albatross of a core business that they have to run every single day. And so to try and do that at the same time as trying to come up with new stuff is relatively difficult to do. My big idea is that large companies should have a balanced portfolio of products that they're working on an ongoing basis. And in order to do that, they have to develop like an innovation ecosystem. And in order to develop an innovation ecosystem, you have to be thinking about doing innovation, not only from the practice of having teams working on new stuff, but also how you invest in innovation and how you develop innovation strategy. For the last few years, there's been a lot of movements going on, lean startup, design thinking, and all of them have been speaking about how you make great products that deliver value to customers. But very few of us have been thinking about how you change an organization and how organizations are run in order to support teams that actually do that work. One of the things that happens often when you meet a CEO or some sort of exec and they're talking about, I need you to help me do innovation, what they tend to mean is like, come help my company do like startup stuff. So come train them business model design, how to do experiments, et cetera, et cetera. So you do that, right? You take a team offsite, somewhere cool, like here maybe, and then you run like an innovation workshop with them, you teach them these methodologies, and they're really excited, they're really fired up after the workshop, and then they go back to work. And as soon as they sit on their desk, they're back in their stodgy organization, their boss has got different expectations to what you were teaching them. And so like some of the companies I work with, the hard work becomes actually changing the expectations of leadership, changing how they manage innovators, changing what metrics they use to measure success, changing how they plan for the future so that it actually aligns with what they're hoping their teams will actually do in terms of creating new stuff. So right now, I am currently working on a bunch of stuff. It's kind of hard to pinpoint one thing. So I'm working with a few large organizations, helping them develop their innovation ecosystem. One is a large global education company. And so I spend my time helping companies kind of think about that. I think for me, the biggest project that I'm working on right now is thinking about how you do strategy and how you do strategy in an iterative way, like the same way you make products iteratively. How you use your product development process to learn about whether or not your strategy is working, and then use that to kind of change your strategy and make sure that your strategy is aligned to this kind of ever-changing world where things are moving at such a fast pace. I think that the most successful companies should be the most worried about the future, which is a hard thing to say, right? It's like only when companies struggle do they start worrying about the future. But actually, I think the discipline is when you're really doing well, is to start worrying about not doing well. Because by the time you're not doing well, it's too late to worry about doing well. So I think that every CEO should be looking at their portfolio of products and services and wondering, what ratio of products and services do I have is actually future facing versus just executing on the current business model? I've just come back from Lean Startup Week where it was very interesting conversations around how you build an entrepreneurship function in large corporations. And so it's easy to imagine, a few centuries ago, maybe even last century, where certain functions in large organizations didn't exist. It's easy to imagine a time when marketing wasn't a function in organizations. Even finance wasn't a function in organizations. And all those functions emerged because large companies had to respond to whatever challenges they were facing during that time. So I think that the management challenge for contemporary businesses is entrepreneurship. How do you create startups internally rather than startups from outside the company? How do you actually create a series of startups internally and just keep that going? So I think that 2018 going forward, the future is really how organizations create this entrepreneurship function and manage it. So what's interesting is that traditional strategy thinking is about picking one big idea. Like if you're working in a company, you like sit together, you pick one big idea that your financial projections tell you is going to succeed, and then you invest everything on that as a company. And I actually think that in the fourth industrial revolution, if that's what we want to call it, nobody knows exactly what's going to work. Like nobody knows exactly which product in Bitcoin or which product in blockchain or which product in whatever technology in AI is actually going to be the runaway success. And so I think that, in order to kind of live in this new world, companies have to be willing to make a lot of bets and also be willing to accept those bets failing, but not just failing at random, but like failing based on learning and experimentation, and then using that to inform the strategic decisions we make. How can we get better? What are we not seeing that's about to kill us? Where's the cliff? And how steep is the cliff? And how can we, get ourselves ready for that? It's a fantastic gathering of really cool people that think and work in management, especially nowadays where we don't have time to actually think. I think it's really important to spend time thinking about what we're doing and coming up with ways that really work and help leaders do better as we move forward, because the world is getting crazier. Yeah.